Hey Internet, it's Vlogmas. I'm Eric Byrne. We're up to day 11. Let's get into it. Here's a follow-up from yesterday's adventure with the Christmas trees that would not light up. As you know, I was successful in getting the dining room tree illuminated. The larger main tree, unfortunately, just never worked. Finally backtracked it to the adapter that fits just before the wall outlet. Had to disassemble the Christmas tree, put it back in the box. Luckily I had saved all the pieces. And my nephew, Ben, and I took it back to the hardware store and replaced it with a new tree. So, anyway, we actually brought that home, immediately assembled it, tested it out, and it worked perfectly right out of the box. So, good news. A lot of work, but good news. A lot of people responded to the 50 things list. I've had some activity on Facebook, so I went ahead and pulled another 50 questions, and here are 50 answers, really fast. We're going to keep moving on this. Got the list? Here we go. Have you ever built a treehouse? Yes, I've actually built several over the years, mostly in junior high age. Built one that was almost 3 stories. A most embarrassing moment. It probably, again, about the same time, I'd say early high school, there was a day where they had school-wide testing. We all had assigned rooms. I arrived at school and just out of habit went to my homeroom, only to realize that that's not my homeroom today. One of the teachers in the hall had a list and they said, "Oh, quickly, go to this other class." So I zipped over there with just moments to spare, sat down, only to realize that it was the wrong room and I was sitting in a senior class. I was just a sophomore. A little embarrassing. Most encouraging moment. I've had a few encouraging moments in my life. The ones that were specifically from things I did would probably be the time I won the top art student in high school 2 years running. I achieved that my junior and senior year. Toughest test you've ever taken? That would have to be the architectural registration exam. By far. So much of it is riding on that test. Your career, your justification for schooling, everything you put into it, plus the cost, plus the fact that it's just a testament to what you've learned up to that point. So there's a lot riding on it. Hobbies. Photography. Also cooking, computers, reading. I do like to travel. So again, quite a few, very diverse. The perfect meal. I would have to say salmon with asparagus on some sort of seasoned potato and a well-matched wine. Ever go clubbing? No. I just don't club. Never clubbed, never went to the bars, never went around campus town. Pretty sedate, although architecture as a major doesn't let you do that very much. Favorite adult drink? I don't drink very much. I do like some darker beers like Guinness. It might be hereditary. But again, not big on drinking. Does your name mean something? Well, if you directly translate my name, it means, and I did look this up, forever ruler, lord of ravens. What is your family crest? Or what is on your family crest? The primary features of my family crest, the Byrne crest, is a mermaid holding up a comb and 3 right hands in red up there. Let's see. What is your biggest regret? I try to live life without regrets. Not that I don't have regrets. but I tend not to dwell on them, or if I do something, I try to do it in such a way that I wouldn't regret what I did. So I don't think I have one that I can actually specifically say, that's my biggest regret. Who knows? The future may hold something else. Where do you draw your strength? I would say from knowledge. I believe that if you understand something enough, that you will be able to convey that to others, and through that have a better understanding. Let's see. If you were another gender, or the opposite gender, would you have, or do you know what your name would be? Well, according to my mother, she said that had I been a girl, I would have been named Elizabeth. At least she was staying in the E's. Let's see. That brings us up to, have you ever done something super, like Superman or Spider-Man? Well, the closest thing I could come up with was one time running through our neighborhood playing hide and go seek. I was pretty young at the time. I went just running off into the forest, and there was this large rock covered with moss and dew or something damp like leaves. And I hit that rock just right that when I stepped off of it, I flipped and did essentially an entire flip in the air, only to land completely dumbfounded on the other side of the rock, not really realizing how I'd done that. To this day, I still don't know how I did it, but I do recall flipping entirely around in midair, and not like a normal cartwheel or something, but in this odd sort of sideways loopy flip thing. Don't ask me to do it again. Have you ever had a near miss? And I took this to mean like near death or something that like, oh my gosh. Actually, I've had a few times where I've come very close to either injury or, I'm glad I didn't do that because I wouldn't want to be there now. One example was stepping onto an elevator that was absolutely packed with people and noticing that the doors delayed and there was a shimmy in the cab. I didn't like it, and because I was right near the door, as it tried to kind of oscillate closed again, I just stepped off. I just didn't like it. I had a sense of foreboding. And the doors did eventually close behind me a few seconds later. And apparently during that time, the cables had been spooling. So when the cab started to move under all that extra weight, it did lurch down quite a ways. I heard screaming. So I still remember that because I remember this echoing scream descending into the shaft of the elevator. Have you ever gone cold turkey? I did stop drinking chocolate milk abruptly when I entered the 6th grade. I thought to myself, well, I'm in 6th grade, I'm adult. Do you have a favorite teacher? Well, thinking back, I think the teacher that had the most profound long-term impact was my English teacher in 7th and in 8th grade, Mrs. Stroll. So Mrs. Stroll, if you're still out there, thanks a lot. She had a lot of influence over me, really helped me to sort of buckle down and work with English and deal with English, and even encouraged me when it came time to do a creative writing project. So, thanks, Mrs. Stroll. Least favorite teacher. I would have to say, and I'm not really going to apologize, Mr. Ferimsky. Yeah, I'm going to stick by that. Toughest subject in school was calculus. It just, the way it was taught to me, not so great. Was getting very bad grades in college at the University of Illinois. Took the exact same class over the summer for qualification to go to the study abroad program at Ball State. It was the exact same book, exact same subject matter. The only change was the teacher, and it was even condensed into summer school duration. So even though it was accelerated, I got a B+. It all bears on the teacher. So, the subject that surprised you? Computer programming. I actually seem to have a knack for it. I was introduced to it in a school setting back in high school, and also again in college, and it just seemed to come naturally. I had the highest grade in the Computers for Architects class out of all my peers. Like, who knew? Okay, that brings us up to number 21. Your favorite sports team. I don't really have a favorite sports team. I don't follow sports that much. Not that they don't interest me. It's just not a thing I follow. What would you change about yourself? I guess if I had to change something about my character, I would probably want to be more trusting of more people. Who has had the most impact on your life? That would probably have to be my parents. For good, for worse, for better, so for whatever. My parents have probably had the biggest influence on me. Number 24 asks, can you touch your tongue to your nose? I can't. Some people can. I've seen them do it. Are you a good cook? I am a good cook. Sleep with the lights on or off? Off. Do you have a catchphrase? If I had a catchphrase, it would be, oh, come on. Do you have allergies? I don't really have clinical allergies. I do react to dust, so don't get dusty. Number 29. Do you have good memory? I've been told I have excellent memory. I do remember quite a few things, so I would have to say it's very good. How are you with names? Strangely, I'm abysmal with names, horrible with names, atrocious with names. Mike, Fred, Tim, whatever. I often have to use mnemonics or some sort of visual cue to remember a person. So tell me your name quite a few times and it just might sink in. Have you ever had a crush? The closest thing I had to a crush, and it's cute, was to a girl named Cece because her nose was cute. Yeah, I was pretty young. It was the 6th grade. But she had a cute nose. How often do you swear? Hardly ever. How easy is it to forgive? I find it matters more on the circumstances or the person. Blatant transgressions are harder to forgive than the typical oops event. How often are you on the phone? Rarely, actually. I prefer email. I feel email is the superior mode of communication in the modern era, because with an email you've got a pretty good record. You can send pictures and music and text. It just is more informative. Talking, you have to be scribbling down notes or writing things along the way. Definitely email. Do you like meetings? No. Just from my experience, and like most people say, the majority of meetings are just a time sink. Do you have any tattoos? Nope, no tattoos. Outside or inside job? Oh, that one's easy. Inside job. I've experienced enough outside jobs to know that inside is better. Fantasy or science fiction? Definitely like science fiction. Fantasy has too much, hey, here's this special thing that no one knew about and hasn't been revealed in the story, and it fixes everything. Ta-da! Let's see. Which brings us to the next question. Your favorite Harry Potter character? I've never read Harry Potter. I don't think I will. I don't think I need to. And so I don't have one. What do you like in a favorite book? Or do you have a favorite book? Not really. I do like reading science fiction series, especially if you have a connection or a tie-in with the characters, or you just identify with the writer, or you like the style. Have you ever written anything? Yes, actually taking it back to Mrs. Stroll's class. That year, 7th grade, we had a writing competition, and out of all the 7th graders, they chose my short story. It was entitled My Irish Eye, about a mystery-solving photographer in Ireland. And they actually printed it, published it, bound it, and it was at least distributed to all the school district libraries. So it was pretty cool to go to my own library in my own school, walk up to the shelf and pull my own book from it and check it out. Kind of Inception-ish there. It's just kind of my own book being checked out by the author. Kind of cool. Worst movie you've ever been to? And I had to think about this, because I do like movies. And the absolute worst was the movie Fatso in 1980. I just could not go the distance, and it's the only movie I've ever walked out of. It just was bad. Sorry. The worst grade you've ever gotten on a test? It was in calculus. It was 0%. And it was all due to the way that they graded the tests. What's the best grade you've ever gotten? That was 120% on an architecture test because I got everything right, and the bonus question at the end was to identify the facade of a building that was on campus that we had all seen walking to class every day for that entire semester, and there were 4 versions of the elevation. One of those 4 was the correct depiction of that elevation. The other 3 had some aspect that had been changed or was incorrect. Not very many people got it because apparently people aren't observant. So, who knows? I was observant, got the 20 extra points, so 120% on a 100-point test. Okay, we're in the home stretch. 45, here we go. Do you like chocolate? No, I actually do not like chocolate. I like to eat it a little bit or as a flavor, but to actually eat chocolate like some people do, not so much. Caramel, pretty good stuff. Have you ever been lost? No, I've actually never been lost. I've had a few times where I was momentarily disoriented, like, oh, this way is the way we need to go. But I knew that that was the way to go. So I've never been lost. Do you like your home? Or the house you live in or the apartment? Yes, I actually do. The house we purchased was adequate, but I designed an addition, and now it works very well for our lives. Would you ever move? Well, having invested so much, and because it's such a good expression of the place we need, I doubt that we would ever move. Do you remember your dreams? I do remember my dreams. Almost all of them, in fact. And I would swear I dream in color, and oftentimes it's very cinematic, so the answer is yes. And finally, at what age did you learn that Santa was a myth? Don't let that out. I actually learned that right after Christmas, about when I was about 7 years old. So say 7.5. Not too bad. My younger brother made it to about age 6. And I didn't tell him. So there you go, guys. 50 new things, 50 things list for me. Again, people liked it so much, that's why I threw another one in. There might be one more in the future, we'll have to see. But again, there you are. A little bit more about me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Is there some aspect that's really unique to you? Have you ever accomplished something really special? Go ahead and add that in the comments below. Add other concerns or just things you want to share, and I'll try to incorporate them into future Vlogmas. See ya!